Although Navajo is spoken less and less frequently today, the boarding schools in the 1920s and 30s had, happily, failed in their efforts to erase the language from the minds of their students. We men in that locked room were articulate in both Navajo and English. Navajo bears little resemblance to English. When a Navajo asks whether you speak his language, he uses these words: "Do you hear Navajo?" Words must be heard before they can be spoken. Many of the sounds in Navajo are impossible for the unpracticed ear to distinguish. The inability of most people to hear Navajo was a solid plus when it came to devising our code. The Navajo language is very exact, with fine shades of meaning that are missing in English. Our language illustrates the Nez relationship to nature. Everything that happens in our lives happens in relationship to the world that surrounds us. The language reflects the importance of how we and various objects interact. For example, the form of the verb to dump something that is used depends upon the object that is being dumped and the container that is being utilized. If one dumps coal from a bucket, for instance, the verb is different from the verb used to describe dumping water from a pail, and the verb again differs when one dumps something from a sack. Again, in Navajo, you do not simply pick up an object. Depending on what the object is, its consistency and its shape, the verb used for to pick up will differ. Thus, the verb for picking up a handful of squishy mud differs from the verb used for picking up a stick. Pronunciation, too, is complex. Navajo is a tonal language with 4 tones: high, low, rising, and falling. The tone used can completely change the meaning of a word. The words for medicine and mouth are pronounced in the same way, but they are differentiated by tone. Glottal and aspirated stops are also employed. Given these complexities, native speakers of any other language are generally unable to properly pronounce most Navajo words. But the complexities of the Navajo language provide a wonderful tool for spinning tales. Our speech does not simply state facts, it paints pictures. Spoken in Navajo, the phrase "I am hungry" becomes "hunger is hurting me." The conjugation of verbs in Navajo is also complex. There is a verb form for one person performing an action, a different form of the verb for 2 people, and a third form for more than 2 people. English can be spoken sloppily and still be understood. Not so with the Navajo language. So even though our assigned task, developing a code, made us nervous, we realized that we brought the right skills to the job. Several white Marines who'd grown up on the Navajo Reservation and knew quite a bit of Navajo later applied to Code Talker School, but there were always words or syllables they could not pronounce correctly, so they didn't make it as code talkers.